what's up, Michigan? Welcome back to the high school baseball interview podcast called In The Dugout. My name is Lauren Plant. Every week, I'm afforded the wonderful opportunity to talk with one of the great head coaches here in the state. And today I am joined by Mark Blomshield from Canton High School. Coach, glad we could work this out, have you on the show this week.
Thanks for having me, Lauren. I appreciate it.
All right. Well, Coach, I want to start with where and when your love of baseball began.
Well, obviously at a young age, 5 or 6 years old, started with T-ball. I grew up in Bay City and did the Little League, and then we did the Pony League and Mickey Mantle and all that stuff. And just started from there. I was left-handed, so I was always getting pushed on the pitching mound. So I ended up not being half bad. So just stuck it out and played high school at Bay City John Glenn under still current coach Jeff Hart. And I was fortunate enough to get a scholarship to play at Western Michigan University. Played there for 4 years, and for Fred Decker and Rich Maloney. Rich is still coaching at Ball State. He has 800 wins, and just was around a bunch of coaches, and I just really enjoyed it. And here we are.
Yeah, here we are. Did you guys? What kind of success did your team have in high school? It's always good up there. Yeah.
Yeah, that was in the beginning phases of Coach Hart's dynasty, basically. I think he's over 700 wins now.
Right.
We were good. Actually, we had some teammates that went to Western when I was there, too. Anthony Halisco was second base on that team. He was an all-MAC player. He was a year behind me. And we had Brad Bach, who was a couple years older than me. He was also at Western. So it was 3 guys from that team in that era that played at Western Michigan at that time for Coach Hart's team. So that was pretty exciting.
So you were playing at Western Michigan in the mid 90s. Was the team successful when you were there?
We had a couple really good years. 30-win seasons a couple years. I think my sophomore year, I think we played with 6 or 7 guys that got drafted. A couple guys made it to the big leagues.
Wow.
And last couple years it was a little bit different. I mean, you know how it can go up and down, but
yeah.
Overall, it was a pretty positive experience.
So what happened after college, and what was the road like that led you to Canton High School?
Well, I did my student teaching at Portage Central. I did my coaching internship at Portage Central with Paul Schneider, and I was helping him with the JV team. That was even before he was varsity, so I started getting into it then, and then I got a call from the baseball coach who was one of my teachers in high school. Mike Harris was coaching out at USA High School, Unionville-Sebring area, and that might have been 99 or 2000. And he's like, hey, come on over, we got a spot for you. So I started doing it there and coaching there, had a good time. And I didn't have a teaching job at the time, and I ended up getting a teaching job down here at Plymouth Canton schools. And I came down here and I wanted to start coaching again. And at that time, it was really Salem and Canton. I think Plymouth wasn't even built my first year here. So,
right. I think it was 04 or something like that.
Yeah, so I flipped the coin. I actually coached JV at Salem for 1 year in 2001, and for Dale Rumberger. He's in the Hall of Fame. That was fine, and then I ended up there was a different opportunity at Canton, and I just switched over to Canton, and I've been there at Canton High School ever since 2002. I was the assistant JV coach and head JV coach, and I've been the varsity coach since 2008. So that's kind of been the path.
So I'm curious, those young years, obviously so many different things that you can do. Obviously you want to get into your profession. Teaching was your profession. But what was it really about coaching that you wanted to continue to climb the ladder? You wanted to continue to keep doing it. What was it that really attracted you to staying in it, getting into it in the first place?
I just really enjoy working with the kids, building those relationships and building that culture. When I took over, and we were pretty successful early on, and I just really enjoyed some of the relationships that I was able to build with some of the players. I was just a young coach. As a matter of fact, one of my players, his father passed away, and he kind of looked up to me as a father figure, and I was actually stood up in his wedding, and those types of relationships is one thing that I really treasured. And obviously I like the competition. I mean, I love coaching our team. I like training the guys and putting a philosophy out there, a culture out there on the field, and matching up against some of the best teams in the state week in and week out, and seeing how we match up and seeing how things go. And it's that excitement of the competitions always keeps you going. So those two things I would say.
Yeah, for sure, no doubt. And yeah, I mean, you've got the competition built in. You've got to find some way to channel it, and coaching is the way you went. Now, this is totally off topic, but I'm curious, and this is literally just to satisfy me because I'm interested. So you are a PE teacher, correct?
Yes.
At Liberty Middle School, correct? That's where
right.
That's where you do that. Okay. So I remember when we all had to take. It's like this is a different world we live in. So once in a while, I want to find out what the current world lives in. We all had to take PE. When we were growing up, that was just a thing. There was no choice. You had to do it. Is that the case anymore? Does everybody have to participate? And has the class, that you're teaching, has it changed all that much over the years?
It definitely has changed. Once COVID hit, has changed. I mean, we went from changing every day, and the social distancing piece. We don't have use locker rooms anymore. We don't have lockers. We don't want them in a tight space.
Okay.
So that was one thing that has changed a lot. Regarding phys ed, I mean, they don't have to take it if they have a different, I'm not a counselor, but I think if they have band or choir or a foreign language, they can kind of, get credits in a different way through the middle school. So I almost see every single kid that comes through our school, but there are a couple kids that I miss. So, but it's definitely changed over the years.
Right. Still, I mean, obviously, it's huge. It's still very, very important, and it's interesting. Well, the Canton baseball program paid tribute to former player and coach Dave New, and he was a 2005 Canton High School graduate, played football, baseball at Canton. He passed in January. So talk about how you guys are honoring his legacy.
Well, obviously, I got the news. It was devastating, and I knew the parents. They were involved in the booster club and whatnot. And his older brother or younger brother played for me too. So I mean, there was 8 years of the new family had come through the Canton program. I was JV coach at the time with him, but his brother came through. And when I spoke to the parents, I said, I think I really want to do something for David. He was such a big part of our program. He coached for a couple years with us. Went to all of our youth camps when he was younger. I mean, just such a name within our program. So I just came up with the idea, and I asked his dad if it was okay if we could do that for him, and he said yes. And it's been a busy spring. I mean, dealing with the weather and everything that high school baseball coaches deal with, but I was able to reconnect with them, and we set a date for last week to put an outfield banner sign up in his honor every year. So that's pretty special. His whole family was out there, and it was tough, to give the speech, and I got choked up a little bit, but
Sure.
It's such a good family, and he was such a good guy too. I mean, I knew him outside of baseball, so I figured that was the least we could do, was to honor him and help him. Hopefully, he can look over our program a little bit, give us some strength. So
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's great, and I think the family will want to continue to support the program and come and see his name up there, and just invoke so many memories. And I think that's great. Again, that's another thing that you see in high school sports, things that aren't talked about a whole lot, but really great ways that you continue to just intermix the players from before and now. And so kudos to that.
Yeah, it's just a big, I like the culture that we have here, and we have so many kids that ex-players that come back. One of my favorite times of the year is after they get out of college. We've had kids filtering in and out of our dugout and in and out of practice the last couple weeks. And one of my ex-players is a team manager for Michigan State. He came in last week and threw batting practice to the guys, and they have stories to share and everything. So I'm really proud of the culture we've been able to do here at Canton, and with the families and whatnot. So it's awesome.
Now, speaking of pitching, I noticed that I think it's on your LinkedIn that you're a pitching program coordinator at Alma College. So how did that job come about, and what does that job entail exactly?
Well, the Plymouth coach, Jason Crane, the old Plymouth coach, is now the head coach at Alma. So we competed against each other for quite a few years there at the park, and it was quite a rivalry. So he called me up and wanted me to help him out, and he had a younger pitching coach at the time, and I said, yeah, we can check it out. I mean, obviously I have high school baseball, so we kind of worked out a situation where I'd help him out with fall ball. So I don't know what the exact dates were, 20 or 21 dates that the NCAA give them. I made most of those. And they start in January as well. So the end of January, and we'd start back up with the team, and obviously high school doesn't start until second week of March. So I had that couple windows in there where I was able to work with the guys, but it was fun. It was a lot of fun. I learned a lot working with a different type of athlete. High school athletes is one thing, and then college, obviously, it's the next level. So I learned a lot, and that might be something I'm gonna dabble into down the road here as things move forward.
That's right. Happens. Right. You're a young guy, and I always ask these questions too. Is that it's no shame that if at some point you want to explore, you were a college baseball player, you may want to explore that challenge. If an opportunity presents itself that just happens to work out in a myriad of ways, you would be interested at least in exploring that option. For sure.
Yep, definitely. I mean, I have to look at my family. I have a 16-year-old daughter right now. She's a junior at Plymouth, so I mean that plays into a fact, and so there are some external factors, but it's definitely something I'd entertain if it was the right situation. To be more of a full-time coach in that level.
Yeah, for sure. You've dipped your toe in the water now, so we'll see. We'll see where that leads. You'll enjoy that for a while, and in the meantime, continuing to work on getting this Canton team to get where they want to be, where you guys have set your expectations. Right. So let's talk about this year's edition of the Chiefs. First off, and we mentioned this before we started, you play in such an outstanding and very competitive league. Not everybody really understands just how much great baseball. It's kind of like similar to where you came from. The Bay City area is so obviously, it's a lot. There's these pockets in the state that just have a real concentration of great players, great coaching, and all of that. What's your assessment of the team right now?
My assessment is we haven't peaked yet, and we're just really pushing on trying to get our bats going a little bit. We've played really good defense all year long. Our pitching's held us in. Our low point or weak point right now that we need to improve on the most, just getting our bats going, and we've been starting to do that a little bit, but it's tough. It's hitting is contagious, and so is struggling is contagious too. So we're kind of just trying to spark our offense a little bit, get the bats going. We have 5 games left before we get into playoffs, so we're really trying to focus on doing that and making a move on that. But I think our team is much better than our record indicates. Like you mentioned, I mean, our conference is just completely loaded. I mean, there was a couple week stretch there where we didn't see an arm that didn't throw 90 miles an hour. Actually, one of them was up in 92, 93. The Novi, Bennett's going to Clemson.
Right.
And, that game was 3-2. So, I mean, we're there. We just got to get things going a little bit. Hopefully we can connect and get a spark that we need to be competitive in the high school playoffs coming up in a couple weeks.
Yeah. You've got some players who are getting an opportunity to play at the next level in college. Who are they and where are they going?
Senior Jack Will, he's a right-hand pitcher for us. He signed at Spring Arbor. He's been a real good program player for us. I mean, he's super reliable. I mean, I love coaching him. I love calling his games because, I mean, wherever you call it, whatever pitch you throw, I mean, it's just right there almost all the time. So that makes it fun. And then Zach Demonenko is going to Lansing Community College. He's a senior. He's a big 6'4" frame right-hand pitcher. And that's kind of where we are right now. But they've been anchoring our pitching staff. We kind of just have to chip in around them a little bit. We've lost a couple games in the back end of games, wonderful games, and just haven't been able to shut the door. Our bullpen's a little bit light, so we're kind of trying to piece it together. But you only have to win 2 games on a Saturday to move to the next round. So, anybody can do that.
Is that something you have done consistently in your career? I was a pitcher in high school. You call the pitches?
Most of the time I do. Most of the time I do. There's been years that I haven't. We have the cards now and the wristbands, and there's different plays on there too, like pickovers and different things. So it just keeps it consistent with calling. If you're calling a play out of the
Yeah.
dugout every now and again, everybody's alert and aware that there might be something going on. But if you're doing it every play, I mean, you can just run, different plays and different bunt coverages without really alerting the other team what's going on. So I would say last 3 years I've been doing that.
That's cool.
But,
It's
some
very,
games,
yeah,
go
it's
ahead.
very interesting. It actually is very freeing for the guy on the mound, especially because in a way it's just you're just reacting and rocking. I mean, that's it. You're just doing, and you don't have to think about it, because we all have we all get in our heads and we all want to get this guy out, for instance. So okay, I'm gonna throw this pitch when if you're really looking at the situation, you might want to go somewhere else because he's been hitting you all day or whatever it is.
Right. Yeah, it's comforting to the pitcher when he's thinking one thing and the catcher flashes down the sign that I call in and it's the same thing. It's like, okay, we're on the same page, So we're working synchronously to try to get those batters out. I'm sure there's times where I don't want to throw that, but
Of course.
they have confidence in me, and we work together, and it's
No,
been
I
fun.
dig it. I think it's great, and that's just, you understand going in. That's what it is. So you just do it and you buy in, and that's how you get going. So let me ask you this: do you think about 2020 and the season that could have been, considering that you guys were coming off a district title the season before? You had, I think, a really good chance of being better than you were the year before. You guys were deep, especially on the mound.
Yeah, I think about it a lot. I was thinking about it a lot yesterday when my number one pitcher was in our dugout. He was back. He went to Dordt University. He's in the transfer portal. So we come by, and it's Nick Yeager. And we had him the first week of practice at 88. And that's a big arm for us. I mean, we're not getting the guys that are playing 92 all the time. We do a lot of developing. I mean, Nick, for example, he was 72, 73 as a freshman, and we developed him for 3 years. It was going into his senior year. He was 88 in his first bullpen, and things shut down. It was like, wow. And we did have a good team, and I think about it a lot because especially I feel bad for those seniors. I mean, we could have did some damage. Ben Stasiak was on that team. He's playing at Madonna, and with another kid, Jake Rubis, who was a sidearm pitcher and up and down. We were doing, and he had a really good junior year and was almost unhittable. And we were just ready to do some work. We didn't have a bunch of seniors that year, but I've had good teams that didn't have a lot of seniors. You don't need seniors to win. You need people that are committed and that have bought in and that work hard. So sometimes that even works better than seniors, depending on the type of season you're having. Sometimes they can check out on you a little bit early too. So
no doubt.
It's nice to have a mix.
Yeah, it just is what it is. Districts get going next week for you guys. Obviously, the Northville district will be a tough sled. Mustangs ranked number 1 in Division 1 in the latest poll. But again, that's, you just got to head into the gauntlet and just ride that wave, huh?
Yeah, we got to win our first game first. We're going to play the winner of Churchill and Plymouth, and we're looking forward to that opportunity too. And if we play well enough, if we play our game, it doesn't matter what the other team does. We have to play our game, and that's good defense. Living in the strike zone, and we got to crank out a few hits. And we don't have to score 10 runs. We play good defense and we pitch okay. I think we have a chance. we played them twice. They beat us 3-2 the first game, and we played them. And we played them last year. We went 14 innings with them last year, and they beat us in the 14th inning. And they were really good last year too. I think they made it to the quarterfinals or semifinals.
Right.
And then actually we did beat them once last year too. And that's pretty much a lot of their team coming back. Those are all juniors. No doubt about it. They're formidable. They're well coached. Johnny does a great job. Bill does a great job. They have multiple big arms going to big schools, and that's okay. That's why you play the game. We're looking forward to it, and we'll see how it pans out. But we got one game at a time. Churchill and Plymouth, they're both good programs. Lawrence does a nice job over there, and Plymouth's a rivalry game. So, that's like a Michigan State game. You can throw the record out the window for that. It doesn't matter.
Absolutely. Especially in the playoffs, no doubt about it.
And Salem, they play Northville too. Salem has a good team too. They have two good arms. Going to college. I think both is 1 and 2 are going to Kalamazoo College.
Nice.
So they're formidable too. Anybody can win. that weekend every single year, you're surprised when you look at the outcomes the next day. I mean, there's so many good teams that had unbelievable years that got picked off by somebody, because it's just hard. It's hard to keep that momentum for a 38 game, 35 game schedule. It's just it's hard to keep that momentum, and there's going to be ups and downs, and that's why I'm hoping our team can peak at the right time. We haven't been to our best yet, so
yeah. Yeah, I mean, in last year in Division III, Liggett drew Edison in the first game, and was sent home. So, despite being, near the top the whole season. So, yeah, you just got to come out and give it your all, no doubt about it. Well, this podcast, Coach, is sponsored by the Michigan High School Baseball Coaches Association. You are being inducted into the Coaches Hall of Fame, an honor bestowed on you from your fellow coaches. What does it mean to you?
It was very humbling. Just to be grouped in with a bunch of guys that have coached a lot more games than me, and I mean, just an elite group. I know a lot of them. Like I said, my mentor Jeff Hart, he's 700 wins. I mean, it's an honor, and it's humbling, and it's a surreal experience. I really had a chance to reflect on all my teams, and I've been pulling out a lot of my records and or the team records and rosters and whatnot, and just to look back and remember all those the teams and the players that we have. And it's just an exciting opportunity. It's an honor for sure. Looking forward to it.
Well, Coach, you deserve it. Wishing you all the success in the world as you guys get ready for do or die time. Congratulations on the Hall of Fame and the rest of this season, and thanks for joining us today.